HobaCare Jojoba is 100% pure, high-quality jojoba, and it is ideal for the work we do as massage and bodywork professionals. The closest product to the natural sebum that our skin produces, HobaCare provides a deeply nourishing massage medium that will not clog pores. HobaCare is non-allergenic, so you can use it on every client and not worry about allergic reactions. HobaCare is shelf-stable and will not stain your natural fiber sheets, making it an excellent choice for professional use and saving you money. With HobaCare Jojoba, you can offer your clients a superior experience that benefits both skin health and overall well-being. Our listeners can receive 20% off their order with code ABMP. Learn more at HobaCare.com. Welcome to Business or Pressure, taking the pain out of massage business with me, Allissa Haines. This is your no-nonsense guide to building a happy, sustainable massage therapy business. It is our mission to make sure that every massage therapist and body worker has the tools to make a living in a thriving business. Let's jump in. We are wrapping up our money series. We started off the year with various episodes on various money-related topics, and this is the last specific one of the series. We're talking about how I prepared to take 2 months off from my massage practice. Now, the best bosses have paid leave. Maybe it's parental leave or sick leave or vacation time or a paid sabbatical. If you think back about the best employers you ever had, they probably had some kind of paid leave or many kinds of paid leave. It's really important to me as a self-employed person to be my own best boss, because when I think of it that way, it usually leads to good planning. It means I am paying my employee taxes or my self-employment taxes. I'm saving for them. I'm paying them on time. It means I'm providing good benefits like leave or retirement or anything else. So when I scheduled a minor surgery, I'm fine. I'm just having my deviated septum fixed. But when I scheduled that surgery late last year, I realized this is an opportunity to really plan for the time off in a thoughtful way and figure out how I wanted to cover my bills and pay myself while I was out. Now, I have an emergency fund. It took me a long time to build it up, but I have an emergency fund that covers 3 months of office expenses. That doesn't include payroll. It covers the expenses of running my business. If something happens and I can't work, I will use that to cover my expenses for my business. And in my personal finances, I have an emergency fund that will cover my personal expenses. So I got a business emergency fund that is 3 months of business expenses, not including payroll. But I don't want to use my emergency fund for something that's not an emergency. I had noticed that I was going to be taking this leave. So this was a really good opportunity to structure a plan to kind of cover myself while I was gone. So here are the steps that I took. I did the math on my office expenses monthly, which I already had the math on that. Next, I did the math on my weekly wage. Now, last year, 2023, I actually started paying myself weekly. And the amount varied a little bit from week to week, but by the end of the year, I had a really good average of what I paid myself every week. I chose a wage on the lower end of what that weekly average was. So I know I needed to cover 2 months or 8 weeks off. And loosely, these numbers are rounded and not exact, but loosely, I needed to save $6,000. I needed to have an extra $6,000 in my account before I left for my leave. And then I looked at how much time do I have to save it. So I had 5 months, which is about 20 weeks, and that was about $300 a week. And when I did that math, I kind of gasped and sat back and thought, there is absolutely no way that I can do this. It was just too much too fast, right? So then I thought, okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to see what I can do. So I did a few things. I cut my payroll by $150 a week, which was substantial. And I got to tell you, my personal finances were pretty tight for the last 5 months. I had to look at the absolutely mandatory expenses that I pay in my personal budget and get rid of a few other things. Reminded myself that I know how to cook with dried beans. And then within the business budget, I squeezed a little more savings and reduced some expenses. I did it a few different ways. I haven't bought any new supplies in the last 5 months. When I needed more masks, I did not buy the massive one in bulk as I typically have in the past. I'm just using up all my oils and lotions and creams until they're gone, and then I will slowly build them back up again. Because I had a pretty big inventory of all kinds of different products and always like the big gallon jug and everything. So I've just been working my way through my products. And that wasn't enough, obviously, because $300 a week is a lot to cut. So last month, when I realized it wasn't going to be quite enough, I adjusted my retirement contributions. I cut them in half. My business-based retirement contributions got cut by 50% for the last 8 weeks of this process. And at the end of this, I'm still not going to have exactly as much as I need, so I will probably end up dipping into my business emergency savings for about $1,000. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to try really hard to not do that or to make it as little as possible. So this is partial success. I'm going to call it a win because there were steps to the process and I actually completed them, so I feel really good about myself. I did the math. I had a plan. It was too ambitious. In retrospect, I should have started planning for this the moment that I decided I was going to have the surgery, because that would have given me closer to like 8 or 10 months. But for whatever reason, it wasn't real in my head until I met with the surgeon, decided to go with it, scheduled the surgery date. A little bit ridiculous. That said, I knew I had the emergency fund and I let that comfort me and let that help me delay. And that was an error in judgment. So in addition to the financial planning for taking 8 weeks away, I've also made a very short list of administrative tasks that I want to handle while I'm out. And they're the things that kind of get put off when you're working day to day because they involve, sitting down and spending 2 hours on something uninterrupted. I want to upgrade my scheduling system because right now it's all email and I want to have text reminders. I've had a few missed appointments in the last few months and I want to remedy that. I want to add a sliding scale appointment type, 2 appointments a month, but I set rules about my leave. I don't want to work the entire time I'm off. I really want to take advantage of this to, one, recover from surgery, but also give myself a little downtime to avoid burnout long term. So I've set rules for when I'm going to work, and I'm not going to work at all for a few weeks after the surgery. And then I'm going to limit, if I'm feeling up to it, I'm going to limit to just a few hours a day when I'm feeling better. And I also want to do some more math and create a plan to build that savings back up and increase my retirement savings again when I return to work. And that was my process. The moral of the story here is planning is key. It really helps you find your weak spots and be more mindful in general about how I spend. When your business is doing well, it's easier to spend a little bit more without thinking. That is a luxury. That is a privilege, I know, and not everybody has found that position in their own business yet, and I hope that you do. But doing this kind of planning really helps you be more mindful, and even just the brain exercise of practicing the math is really, really helpful. We talked about budgeting in a previous episode. It was episode 425, and I'll put the link in our show notes. But if you have not come up with some kind of savings plan, or if you know you have a vacation or a leave or anything coming up that you want to really accommodate, maybe consider an exercise like this where you think through the expenses, you do the math on how long you have to save for it, and then you try to save for it. It was really illuminating for me. I'm pretty aware of my business finances, and this really put a spotlight on a few things for me, and that was really helpful. It's time for our high five. And my friend Janine of Portland City Massage and Foster Creative Design is today's high five. She's a massage therapist, a longtime massage therapist, and she also builds websites just like me. And I am referring to her for the next several months while I am out of work and not taking new clients. And Janine's getting a high five because, one, she's really good at both of her jobs, and also because she has been so willing to talk to other massage therapists who have questions that I can't answer. And within our Deep Breath community of massage therapists, we've had a few questions in the last few months that I could not answer, and she was suited to. And all I had to do was send her a message and say, Janine, would you mind talking to this other member about this thing? And she would always say, absolutely, yes. And I would send a message connecting them, and she would thoroughly and kindly answer the question they had. I so appreciate people who are willing to give just a few minutes of their time to share their knowledge with someone else. We all have these different fields of knowledge from different client experiences and continuing education classes we've taken. And it is so good to have a pool of people, and especially my friend Janine, to pull from and ask to share. So thank you, Janine. If anyone needs a website anytime soon, go to fostercreativedesign.com. And that's all I have to say about Janine, because I don't want to gush anymore. It's embarrassing for both of us. If you have a question about running your massage business, or you have an idea for an episode, reach out via email at businessorpressure@abmp.com. You can also find me over at deepbreathdigital.com, hanging out with my community of massage therapists. And make sure you are subscribed to ABMP's podcast so you don't miss a beat. And if you haven't yet, and you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. It helps other people find us and also makes me feel really good about myself. There is so much to learn about building and maintaining a massage business. We're going to cover the business and marketing side, the communication skills, all of it to help you be successful. I will meet you right back here for the next episode. I can't wait.